Have you noticed how everyone talks about getting rich, but almost no one talks about the mindset that builds true empires? Today, I'm going to reveal how to think like the wisest and wealthiest man in history, King Solomon. And here's the detail that will blow your mind. Centuries before Freud, centuries before neuroscience, and even before Stoicism gained fame, Solomon was already applying these principles in practice. He understood emotions, strategy, and prosperity long before modern science even had a name for it. And if you stay until the end, you'll discover how to bring this timeless mindset into your life, starting now. Solomon knew something that most people still ignore today. Wealth doesn't begin in your pocket. It doesn't begin with gold. It doesn't begin with outside opportunities. It begins in the mind. The Stoic philosophers used to say, man is not disturbed by things, but by the view he takes of them. Which means it's not the world that defines who you are, but the way you interpret that world. Centuries earlier, Solomon had already written in Proverbs, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." He was saying exactly this: your thoughts shape your reality. And modern science only confirmed what he was already practicing. Today, neuroscience calls this process neuroplasticity, the idea that thoughts shape the pathways of the brain, strengthening habits, emotions, and decisions that can either create abundance or trap you in scarcity. The mind is like fertile ground. If you plant fear and doubt, you'll reap limitations. But if you plant focus, wisdom, and purpose, you'll harvest extraordinary results. Solomon didn't wait for science to explain it. He was already living this truth thousands of years ago. And that is the first secret of his wealth mindset. The control of emotion. Solomon mastered something we now call emotional intelligence. He knew that true power was not just about making quick decisions or showing strength, but about controlling one's emotions in the midst of chaos. The Stoics taught, do not be governed by anger, fear, or euphoria. For them, true freedom was inner freedom. And Solomon lived this principle. Just remember the judgment of the two women fighting over the maternity of a child. In that moment, it wasn't the sword that brought justice. It was calmness, careful observation, and emotional wisdom that revealed who the true mother was. Today, neuroscience describes this phenomenon as emotional regulation, the ability of the prefrontal cortex to restrain the impulsive responses of the limbic system. In other words, it is the rational mind taking command over instinctive emotion. Long before Freud spoke of the ego, long before Jung explored archetypes, Solomon was already demonstrating, in practice, how self-control produces wise decisions. And this ability remains one of the greatest keys to power and prosperity even today. The strategy of wealth. Wisdom is not just contemplation. It is strategic action. And Solomon understood this better than anyone. He built trade alliances with powerful nations, established trade routes that brought gold, spices, and knowledge. He strengthened his kingdom with what we would now call networking and intelligent geopolitics. While many see wealth merely as accumulation, Solomon saw multiplication. He understood that the secret was not just possessing resources, but knowing how to move them, create partnerships, and use collective intelligence to prosper. The Stoics would say, do not desire what is beyond your control. In other words, focus on what can be built with strategy. And Solomon would add his own maxim, with many advisors, plans succeed. Today, neuroscience confirms that our financial decisions are shaped by cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that often lead us to mistakes. But Solomon was already outsmarting these traps centuries earlier, surrounding himself with wise counselors and creating a system that minimized individual flaws. This is the true empire mindset, turning intelligence into alliances, and alliances into lasting wealth. Purpose above fortune. There is one detail that sets Solomon apart from any other millionaire in history. He didn't ask for riches. He asked for wisdom. And that is precisely why he received both. First came understanding, then came gold. Because Solomon understood that fortune without purpose is nothing but vanity, something echoed over and over in the book of Ecclesiastes. The Stoics would call this virtue, living according to principles higher than immediate desire. The biblical tradition calls it the fear of the Lord, placing spiritual wisdom above instant gain. And modern neuroscience explains it this way: the ability to delay immediate rewards in order to pursue a greater long-term purpose. That is what strengthens the prefrontal cortex and builds true resilience. This was Solomon's ultimate insight, that purpose must always come before fortune. Solomon understood that material wealth is only a consequence. The true treasure is aligning mind, emotions, and purpose. Because when the mind is wise and the heart is steady, abundance is not just possible, it's inevitable. This is the greatest secret of Solomon's mindset, placing purpose above fortune. Something as rare today as it was 3,000 years ago. Thinking like Solomon is not about memorizing proverbs or repeating catchy phrases. It's about training the mind to see beyond appearances. It's about strengthening the soul to remain firm when everyone else is carried away by emotion. It's about putting purpose above haste, and wisdom above gold. Centuries before the Stoics spoke of reason, Solomon was already practicing it. Millennia before Freud studied the mind, he was already mastering emotions. Long before neuroscience explained brain plasticity, he was already applying it in real life. And here's the truth: if you bring this mindset into the present, you'll realize that wealth is not just about money. It's about clarity, balance, and legacy. That is the true mindset of Solomon, and it has the power to transform not only your bank account, but the meaning of your life. So never forget, wisdom is the greatest wealth. Gold comes after. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next content.